God uses instruments. Not every instrument God uses serves the same purpose. Nations, kings, empires, without asking permission, without them knowing, without them fully understanding the role they are playing. But there is something this generation has forgotten, something the prophets understood with absolute clarity. Not every instrument serves the same purpose. Some are instruments of judgment, others are instruments of restoration, and confusing the two has consequences that can last for generations.
The hammer Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came from the north. He did not come with diplomacy or hesitation. He came with iron. God himself called him his servant in Jeremiah 25, but that title was not one of honor in the way we often think. It was a function, an instrument in the hand of the potter. The hammer does not ask what it is breaking. Its nature is to strike. He deported entire nations. He destroyed what 4 centuries had built, and he did all of it convinced of his own greatness. That is the most defining trait of the hammer. It does not know it is an instrument. It believes it is the architect. It believes it is the end of the story. One day he walked across his terrace and said, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built?" That same night, he lost everything. The shepherd 70 years after the hammer's first blow, something completely unexpected happened. A king from the east conquered Babylon without shedding blood. He walked through the open gates of a city already abandoned by its own god. His name was Cyrus. And the remarkable thing was not his military conquest. It was what he did after it. He did not deport. He did not destroy. He did not accumulate. He opened the gates of captivity and said, "Go home." He returned the sacred vessels the hammer had stolen. He funded the rebuilding of the temple from his own treasury. He issued a decree of liberation that God's people kept as a sacred relic. And he did all of this without fully knowing the God who was moving him. Isaiah had seen him 150 years before he was born. He called him by name. He called him my shepherd. He called him anointed, the only Gentile in all of Scripture to receive that title. The difference that matters, the question the prophets asked, and that this generation needs to recover is not, is this man powerful? The question is older and more precise. Does he look like Nebuchadnezzar or like Cyrus? Not in appearance and fruit. The hammer speaks of its own greatness. The shepherd speaks of a purpose greater than itself. The hammer accumulates what it conquers. The shepherd returns what it found in captivity. The hammer demands loyalty. The shepherd does not need to be worshipped. It simply fulfills its function and steps aside. The hammer takes. The shepherd gives back. And there is one more sign. Perhaps the most important of all, the hammer, once its function is complete, is broken in turn. Babylon fell. Nebuchadnezzar was humiliated. His kingdom collapsed within a generation. The shepherd fulfills its function and is remembered with honor forever. The mistake that keeps repeating, there is a mistake the people of God have made repeatedly throughout history. Worshiping the wrong instrument at the right moment. When the hammer arrives with enough power, enough promise of protection, enough rhetoric of greatness, it becomes tempting to call it a shepherd, especially when religious voices make that identification with confidence and with Bible verses. But Scripture gives us a test that never fails. The hammer makes the people dependent on it. The shepherd makes the people return to their land, their identity, their God. The hammer protects.